Yeah, okay, I need a haircut. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. For all of your website needs, Squarespace is the place to go. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. Everybody interested in Fujifilm's XE4 seems to be asking, is it an interchangeable lens version of the X100V? Of course it is. But it is so much more. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant. And today I want to talk to you about the XE4 now that I've had it in hand. I am, however, going to keep this fairly short because it's pretty clear what it is and what it isn't. The XE4 is, first and foremost, an update of the XE3 actually, upgraded with the company's latest sensor and processor, an articulating screen, and a nice set of tweaks to the body's design. Which, yes, means the XE4 is also a marginally less expensive EVF-only interchangeable lens version of the X100V, just as earlier XEs have always been relative to earlier X100s. Like its predecessors, the latest X100V sports the hybrid optical finder that the latest XE4 does not, but you could easily mistake one for the other were you limited to a quick sideways glance. They are both lovely to look at and have in hand. But as has also always been the case, it's not just a question of prioritizing interchangeable lenses or hybrid optical finder. It's also a question of how important it is to you to have an integrated flash and fixed integrated leaf shutter lens. I'll leave the answers to those questions to you, of course, but I will tell you that A, leaf shutter or not, when it comes to photography, I personally find the X100V's snag-free, no choice, no futz configuration compelling. The cover of our Streets of New York book was shot with one, and experience the integrated lens to be slightly faster to autofocus. B, you can purchase Fujifilm's tiny, hot shoe mountable $40 EF-X8 auxiliary flash, which works quite nicely with the XE4 instead. Though, it does make pulling the XE4 out of a pocket, or putting it into one in the first place, more of a hassle. And if you're at all like me, it's the second thing you are likely to lose or forget to bring precisely when you need it most. The first thing you'll lose, by the way, is the USB-C to 3.5mm headphone adapter. Which reminds me, C, on the other hand, when it comes to video, my priority is lens interchangeability over all other considerations. My 16-55 2.8 is my go-to for this purpose within the Fujifilm world. So my preference in that scenario is the XE4 over the X100V. There are a number of minor operational differences between the two cameras, which might not be immediately apparent to you, so let's quickly run through them. Of course, the XE4 omits what would otherwise be a vestigial front fascia switch for navigating between optical and electronic viewfinders. But it also eliminates the X100V's ISO subdial within the shutter speed dial, the rear control dial, and the focus switch on the side. The XE4 Q button has been relocated to the top plate. The play button has been relocated to the rear fascia of the top plate. The micro HDMI, USB-C, and mic ports have been relocated to the left side of the camera from the right. I have no idea why. And the traditional strap lugs of the X100V have been replaced with the, some might call it, Eau Courant mini dish towel bars variety of the type found on my Leica SL2. Speaking of Leica, the left side of the XE4's top plate has a new cant to it, which strikes me as an homage to the canted rewind knob first appearing on the Leica M4, which I think is a nice touch. Neither camera has IBIS. Both use a single battery and SD card accessible from the bottom. Build quality is essentially identical. As for differences between the EVFs, well, the XE4's EVF resolution is spec'd lower than the X100V's, 2.4 versus 3 million dots, but its magnification is spec'd higher, 0.62 versus 0.52. The eye relief seems identical. To my eye, there isn't much practical difference between the two, though there were times when the refresh rate of the XE4 seemed much slower. But the thing that many of us have apparently lost sight of is that the original XE1, launched almost a decade ago, September 2012, was actually conceived as a smaller version of the first X Pro one, before the X100 line, as we know it today, even existed, and that relationship has not changed. In other words, the XE4 is also a less than half price EVF only single card slot version of the X Pro 3. Again, same sensor and processor, slightly different tilty screen, without the need to compromise on integrated flash or integrated leaf shutter lens because the X Pro 3 has neither. But hey, if you're an optical finder person, right, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You can also think of the XE4 as a $50 less expensive rangefinder-style version of the XT30, a $150 less expensive IBIS-less, tilty screen only, recording limit constrained rangefinder-style version of the XS10, and $850 less expensive, IBIS-less, tilty screen only, inferior EVF single card slot, range style version of the XT4. They all sport the same top-of-the-line APS-C sensor and processor, a combination which I consider the best in the industry as a hybrid solution and the most compelling case for not needing a full-frame camera. All are capable of delivering identical and identically wonderful imagery, a function more of the image maker than the technology, which I love. Imagery like this. Or this. Or actually, this video. I'm recording this episode as I speak using an XE4 with my 16-55 2.8 running out to our Ninja 5 via HDMI, with audio being recorded on our Sound Devices MixBree 3 Mark II, which I will sync in post. No one does video on hybrid APS-C cameras as well as Fujifilm. Even if I break out into hives every time I think about their ubiquitous use of micro HDMI ports. Returning to photography, but looking beyond its Fujifilm siblings, and suddenly we have what I think is the most interesting comparison of all. The XE4 is a 1/3 the price, higher resolution, better autofocusing, articulating screen-equipped version of one of my favorite cameras of all time, Leica's digital CL. Now, there is no comparison between the XE4 and CL in terms of build quality, industrial design, and ergos as far as I'm concerned. The CL's higher magnification EVF is much more enjoyable. The Leica TL lens line is on another level, and I do prefer Leica's out-of-the-box colors. There are reasons for the CL being 3 times the price. But the XE4 gives up just about nothing except the viewing experience to the CL when it comes to the nuts and bolts of working with manual focus M-glass. Focusing precision and proportionality between lens and body in hand are comparable to that of the CL, and the XE4's articulating screen can make a big difference when shooting unobtrusively on the street. Or just saving your back and knees. So, let me ask you this. Is it literally the rangefinder experience, that is, manually focusing through an integrated rangefinder inside an optical viewfinder by lining up 2 images until they're one? The optical viewfinder advantage of not having your retinas eventually burned out by an EVF, the compact dimensions of most rangefinder-style bodies, The location of the viewfinder, irrespective of technology, on the left side of the body, the use of wonderfully tiny, jewel-like, fully mechanical and manual-only focusing rangefinder lenses with depth of field scales, value independent of all of the above, or some combination of the above, that make the XE4 so interesting to you in the first place. Which, once you have clarity around the answers to these questions, leaves us where precisely, and what does all of this mean to you? Within the Fujifilm fold, I'd sort it out this way. If you like small, light rangefinder-style cameras, but want the flexibility of choosing your own focal lengths, even manual focusing only glass, the XE4 with its updated sensor and articulating rear screen is almost a no-brainer. There's nothing you can't do with the XE4 that you can with the X Pro 3 except look through an optical finder or record to dual card slots, and the XE4 is significantly smaller, lighter, and less expensive. If you refuse to choose between lens interchangeability and a hybrid OVF, that is if you demand both, or you demand dual card slots, fair enough, the X Pro 3 is the camera for you. But if your overarching desire is for the most compact rangefinder-style camera in the lineup, the easiest for travel, traditional street photography, and casual family shots, stills or video, the one with the least futzing, the one with the best fill flash and daylight flash capability, X100V is your clear choice. Personally, of these three rangefinder-style cameras, and given the other cameras I already own for photography, the X100V talks to me most. If you are more video-focused, prefer a more traditional PASM dial layout, and or want IBIS, or if you'd simply prefer more of a DSLR-style body, these days I'd say the XS10 is the no-brainer. Its grip is even better than the XT4's. There's no recording limit at 8-bit 420 UHD 4K, as there is on the XT4. It's 700 less than the XT4. The XS10 is only 150 more than the XE4, but in addition to the grip and IBIS, it has a full flippy screen, and again, no recording limit. On a purely functional basis, the $1,000 XS10 is the sweet spot in the entire Fujifilm X body lineup. But if you want dual card slots, a better EVF and or more traditional analog style controls, the XT4 may well be worth the extra money to you. Then again, if you just happen to have a Ninja 5 lying around and your primary use case for video is a camera on sticks, the XE4 can be a surprisingly compelling alternative. It certainly has my attention. Other APS-C cameras beyond Fujifilm? If you're talking DSLRs, talk to the hand, don't talk to me. I am not returning to that fold. I think there are just too many mirrorless advantages. As for mirrorless APS-C cameras, we haven't covered them here, but Sony's A6 series is the most direct competition and has much to recommend it. But Fujifilm's commitment to the format is simply greater than Sony's, and it shows, from native mount crop sensor glass to industrial design and superior video recording options. The two primary advantages Sony does offer over Fujifilm in the APS-C world are marginally superior autofocus, marginally, and a larger lens ecosystem due primarily to independent lens manufacturers. But to my way of thinking, neither is a critical advantage. A third advantage, the ability to move to their full-frame lineup while preserving one's investment in E-mount glass, is, I think, more of a theoretical advantage than a practical one, because once you move to full-frame, you want full-frame lenses, and those quickly become bigger and more expensive, as do their bodies. You'll end up spending just as much moving to Sony full-frame from Sony APS-C as you would from Fujifilm APS-C, or you're not using full-frame properly. Though credit where credit is due, Sony is making great strides in shrinking the size of fast, high-performance full-frame primes, if not the price, and their rangefinder-style full-frame $1,800 A7C will be an interesting alternative to some of us, though I've not yet been able to get one in hand, so I can't tell you more than that. It is, however, more than twice the price of the XE4, almost twice the price of an XS10 with Sony's Ergo's menu system and downstream full-frame lens sizes, weights, and costs. We haven't covered Canon or Ricoh either, but there is Canon's $850 M6 Mark II. There is Ricoh's $950 GR3. I've had neither of these in hand either. I do know that I don't like Canon's APS-C lens line, and have no interest in buying full-frame lenses for an APS-C camera, even if it does sport 32 megapixels. I know the GR3 has a cult following, including people whom I know, like, and respect, but it is a fixed lens configuration without an EVF or optical viewfinder, no option for either one, which make it a no-go for me. But your mileage may vary, and that's fine. And then there's Leica's CL, as I mentioned earlier. I'd say this. If you are more about old school manual focus only M-mount glass than you are about bodies, vintage or modern, whether those lenses are from Leica or Zeiss or Voigtlander or others, and are budget constrained, the XE4 is the no-brainer choice. Again, the $2,000 you save versus the CL become available for more glass, and you lose somewhere between very little and actually gaining a not insignificant bit with a couple of extra megapixels, better autofocus performance, and an articulating screen. This is especially true, another no-brainer, if you want the option of some great autofocusing glass for those times when you need it, but can't cross the financial threshold for TL optics. The XE4 with Fujifilm's 16:1.4 and 56:1.2 as a street kit is just outstanding, now capable with its tilty screen of images as good or better than this one, taken just a few years ago with the now retired, less performant X-T2. The XE4 is also a no-brainer compared to the CL if you want to do video. Because while the CL is capable of drop-dead gorgeous 8-bit 420 footage, it blew me away when I shot with the 11-23 zoom, the only time I've ever used it for video. It has no way to dissipate heat and has none, zero, zip, zilch ports, so no way to add an external mic, monitor with headphones, defeat the recording limit. You get the idea. But if photography is your thing, if industrial design, build quality, heritage, brilliant compact lenses, superior EVF, and or out-of-the-box thinking are your thing. Color is more subjective, but I prefer them, as I said. In other words, if you can stretch to the CL and its TL lenses, I think you will be blown away too. Which, ironically, is precisely why I no longer have my CL. Once Claudia got her hands on it and the Summilux 35-1.4, I had no chance of ever getting it back. But let's get back to the XE4 and wrap it up this way. In the end, the XE4 is an incredible and compelling value proposition, a simple-to-use yet fully featured hybrid for those of us looking for a very high-performance, ultra-compact street travel and or casual photography or video shooting kit who also want the benefit of interchangeable lenses. It is so good that it is a shot across the bow to Leica, a heads-up which they ought to take into account when considering a possible CL2. Yeah. The XE4 is that good. This episode was brought to you by Squarespace. From custom domains to beautiful websites using their easily customizable templates that you can have up and running in minutes, e-commerce, email and email marketing, SEO, analytics, and scheduling, Squarespace does it all and has done it for us for the last 6 years. If you are a small to mid-sized business in any industry, Squarespace is the place to go for all of your website needs. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, join the conversation below because this is an incredible audience. If you'd like a copy of our Streets of New York, the book, head over to www.3bmep.com/books. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one video session with me for a portfolio review, explore or hone your artistic voice, select gear, and more, sign up at www.3bmep.com/booking. Finally, consider supporting our work by using our no-cost-to-you affiliate links down below, picking up some official Three Blind Men and an Elephant swag at 3bmep.threadless.com, sending coffee money via PayPal, or best of all, join us as a patron over at Patreon. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.